Now, more and more ponies are taking up the hobby of photography and buying cameras from my shop. And on top of that, Cousin Snapshot has been expanding our business all the way up to Canterlot and parts of Cloudsdale. Photos of the Wonderbolts are certainly a popular item, and today in particular we find Stootaloo using photography to document the life of Rainbow Dash for her report on ponies she looks up to. We start off by watching Stootaloo try to slingshot Stooter her way all the way up to Cloudsdale. A bit of a crazy idea considering how many alternative ways there are to do the same thing, but there's no taking it back now. There goes Stootaloo up into the clouds to Cloudsdale, and who does she meet but Rainbow Dash's parents? I think we, like her, are all pretty much geeking out over the chance to finally meet Rainbow Dash's parents. And whoever these parents are, they're clearly not the same blue-furred, rainbow-maned pony that we've seen a Rainbow Dash with in some of her childhood flashbacks and during the heartwarming Eve ceremony. But nevertheless, here they are, and these are some of the most energetic and excited parents in Equestria. Both Rainbow Dash's mom and dad are huge fans of their daughter, just as Stootaloo is a huge fan of Rainbow Dash, and the three of them go over all kinds of fan-obsessed Rainbow Dash moments together and quickly bond after some mild confusion. As Stootaloo looks over some of the old photos from Rainbow Dash, and we get a little look at how Rainbow Dash has grown and changed over the years and some of the things she's accomplished, and we look at her amazing trophy room and all of the other memorabilia from her childhood that her parents have kept over the years, we quickly realize that Rainbow Dash's parents don't know anything about Rainbow Dash's life after leaving Cloudsdale and about her saving Equestria and becoming a Wonderbolt. Seems as close as Dash is to her parents, as much as she loves them, they tend to embarrass her with their over-enthusiasm and their cheerleader-like personality when it comes to encouraging Rainbow Dash and giving her way too much praise. Although no surprise considering Rainbow Dash's ego and so forth, it seems these parents have definitely been helping feed that ego and they've helped mold her into who she is today. But it does get a little overdone and a little annoying, and Rainbow Dash would rather not have the craziness that Stootaloo is about to invite back into her life, and that's why she hasn't told them anything about her recent accomplishments. Once her parents found out about these accomplishments, they went to the Wonderbolt Academy to cheer on their favorite daughter and continued loudly giving her praise in some of the most obnoxious ways possible. You'd think that the Wonderbolts would tease Rainbow Dash for this, but actually they don't. They actually seem pretty cool with Rainbow Dash's parents, or at least pretty tolerant and pretty understanding. Spitfire seems pretty cool with them and only slightly annoyed at the break in protocol. It's not Rainbow Dash's fault that the parents showed up unannounced, and I think, having a mother herself that shows up from time to time, Spitfire understands how parents can be and is kind of cool with them. Even Fleetfoot seems pretty understanding of what Rainbow Dash is going through and actually does not tease her, which is a welcomed, refreshing change and a welcomed bit of respect. The parents continue to cheer on Rainbow Dash at various Wonderbolt events. The Wonderbolts are pretty cool with this and not really that annoyed by it. They seem tolerant and understanding of the whole thing. It turns out it's Rainbow Dash who's the one who eventually snaps and yells at them and causes them to have hurt feelings. Stoodaloo's also highly upset at what Rainbow Dash did when she yelled at her own parents, and no longer wants anything to do with Rainbow Dash. This quickly sets Rainbow Dash into realizing she was in the wrong, and so seeking out Stoodaloo and her parents to apologize to them for the way she acted. She sits down, talks with Stoodaloo, and explains that she wasn't always a winner. She wasn't always the best at everything. And even when she wasn't the best at something, her parents still embarrassed her by cheering her on. Yes, you may have noticed a slight retcon in this episode. The idea that Rainbow Dash, the Wonderbolts, and Lightning Dust all knew each other as fillies. Kind of my idea. I kind of messed with reality and altered the course of history and the flow of time, creating a alternate reality where those things actually happened and erased anything that made actual sense. Hope it wasn't too confusing for you. But coming to terms with how things are and accepting them, Rainbow Dash apologizes to her parents and puts on one final stunt show to impress them. During Stoodaloo's reading of her report at school, Rainbow Dash and her parents are there for Stoodaloo to cheer her on, mostly because of the fact that Stoodaloo grew up with no pony to give her praise or encouragement, and from Stoodaloo's point of view, Rainbow Dash has been rejecting the very thing that Stoodaloo has always sought out her entire life that she's never had. So what embarrasses Rainbow Dash is something that Stoodaloo very much welcomes, and now she's increased the size of her adoptive family. This is a really great, fun, exciting story, especially for Rainbow Dash fans who have wanted to see this the whole time. The stuff that could have gone wrong in this story didn't actually go wrong, and the way it unfolded wasn't the way one would predict, but it's a way that was very natural and relatable, perhaps to some people, maybe not to myself or to Stoodaloo, but to some people perhaps this is a very relatable, true-to-life kind of thing, and overall it was fairly decent and a great bit of fun. I especially loved getting to see even more cameras and photography in use throughout this particular occasion. It's nice to see more and more ponies picking up the hobby and realizing the importance of preserving memories and telling stories through photos. A few other interesting thoughts. It was nice to see that Rainbow Dash has always been inspired by tortoises. Even if she wasn't particularly welcoming to Tank when she first met him, we can see that going all the way back to her childhood, she's always had sort of a soft spot for them. The line Stoodaloo says about having no pony around to encourage her or give her praise as she was growing up doesn't necessarily confirm that she's an orphan, but it doesn't deny it either. The only other possibilities we can get from this line would be if Stoodaloo does have parents, that those parents were either highly neglectful or somewhat abusive. All three options make her kind of still a sad character. The use of photos to recap Rainbow Dash's life. It was a great way to catch Rainbow Dash's parents, as well as any fans who missed those episodes, up on the events of what's happened to Rainbow Dash up until now, without resorting to this being partially a clip show. And the flashbacks were fun because we got to see Lightning Dust in a non-speaking role, as well as appearances from young Derpy, young Spitfire, young Fleetfoot, and other young versions of other Wonderbolt members. Now, it does make me wonder something about Lightning Dust, and as well as other characters like Babseed and so forth that we haven't seen in a long time. Are all of these characters that we haven't given speaking roles to going to have speaking roles again? And if they're not having speaking roles, what's the reason for that? Is it because the writers don't have good ideas? Or is there something happening behind the scenes about how unattainable the voice actors are? It's interesting to wonder which one of these things it could be. Or maybe the inclusion of characters like Lightning Dust in a non-speaking role could be a hint at the possible reappearance of the Lightning Dust character in the present day era with the speaking role back again. So makes me think partially if this is how Rainbow Dash's parents look up to Rainbow Dash and how much they fan worship her, maybe that's partially why Rainbow Dash was so open to the idea of Stoodaloo being Rainbow Dash's fangirl and later the adopted little sister. Maybe Rainbow Dash knew that Stoodaloo had the same personality as her mom and dad, and that's why she was more willing to have Stoodaloo in her life more frequently. She was used to this kind of attention and this kind of reaction to her, and she was willing to take it from Stoodaloo a lot more than she was from her own parents because it was less severe and less embarrassing when Stoodaloo did it than when her own parents did it. There's also been some debate over whether Flurry Heart or the Cake Twins more resembles, more or less represents what baby eyes look like. A lot of people say like, oh, in past episodes of MLP, babies have always had the eyes that you see the Cake Twins with. Then Flurry Heart comes along and she has a different type of eye on her face. In Applejack's flashbacks, we see Applejack with both the Cake Twin style eyes and the Flurry Heart style eyes. And now here in Rainbow Dash's photos, we see both the Cake Twin eye style and the Flurry Heart eye style in two different photos right next to each other on the wall. First I thought that the baby pony eyes was like a retcon in the art style, but in this recent episode we just saw Rainbow Dash's photos showing not only both eyes, but quite a few where the eyes were closed, so the artists didn't have to choose which eye style to go with. I'd still like to view baby pony eyes the same way I view Klingon head ridges. The Klingons didn't have head ridges in the original Star Trek series, but then they got head ridges during Next Generation and the movies. Overall, this was a great story for Rainbow Dash and a great chance to get more of Rainbow Dash's backstory, as well as a little bit of backstory for each of the Wonderbolts, Lightning Dust, and, of course, Derpy. Anyhow, that's about all I have to say for this right now. Thank you for watching, and good night.
Give me a smidge of confidence.